All right, a date against Virginia as we talk to Cam Underwood, State of the U, breaking down Miami football with the Canes undefeated and ranked, I don't even know. It's number 3 in the country, right? Number 3 in the college football playoff rankings because a nod was given to that Clemson team that's lost a game to Syracuse. You guys played Syracuse, right?
We played them the week after they played Clemson, and we won.
Yes.
So, that's what happened. But, you're number 2 in both polls. But the one that counts, the college football playoff, Miami is 3rd. And I wrote about that on the website where, basically, and I think I said this on here last week, Miami is basically the Titans from Remember the Titans, where if you win out, everything is fine. We're not going to drop you. We're not going to, fire you, metaphorically, as they were talking to the coach in that movie. But any loss and you're done. And I think that's pretty much what the committee is saying by how they're ranking Miami. So I don't foresee that there's a way where both Clemson and Miami make it to the college football playoff. And that is the matchup on December 2nd. But like you were leading into, we do have games before that, so we do need to leave our focus in the immediate, in the present, and then leave the future for the future. Because, whatever happens on Saturday, we're still going to reach the ACC championship game and play Clemson. Hopefully that game still has a measure of consequence because Miami has won both of the intermediary games before we reach there.
So one of which is Virginia in Miami, the Cavaliers putting together for them a very good season. So this has been a down and out program, arguably the worst in the ACC over the last 4 or 5 years, but they're a fine 6-4 right now with some credible wins. So you look at Virginia, and I'm not expecting you to go personnel deep, too deep across the depth chart, both sides of the football, Cam, when we talk Virginia. I've seen very spotty here and there, a couple plays here, a couple plays there with Virginia. They did play a Friday night early in the season to give us some indication that Bronco Mendenhall can coach. He obviously did a job at BYU. He's taken over a team, 2-10 his first season, and now he's got something going at Virginia. They're not an extremely talented team, but I'm sure he's just tightened things up and have these boys playing at a much higher efficiency level. They're not explosive on offense. They dink and dunk you all over the field. They don't have that kind of personnel to take you downfield. They've got a quarterback in Kurt, 21 touchdowns, 7 picks, 59%. Jordan Ellison, a nice running back, nothing special there at about 4.2 yards per carry and 6 touchdowns. But out of the gate, a win in week 2 or 3 against Boise State on the road on the blue carpet, a team that's now in the top 25. Just a few weeks ago, beat Georgia Tech, a team that obviously took Miami to the wire, played within a couple touchdowns of Clemson, and Georgia Tech's a credible team, and Virginia was able to win that game. Had to try to chase down Lamar Jackson this past week unsuccessfully in one. So it is an opponent. It is a decent opponent. I'm going to say one of the top 40 to 45 teams in the country, something in that range. So there's not a comparison. Miami's decidedly better. But if circumstances work out, if you're not at least playing your C game, then maybe Virginia provides some resistance. So it can't be overlooked.
Yeah, and I think, every game matters. And first of all, shout out to Louisville. Thank you for beating them last week and sewing up the ACC Coastal Division for us this week. So before we even played a game, or before we even kicked off against Notre Dame, we already knew that we were ACC Coastal Division champions for the first time in program history, or, since we came over. So that's great. But yeah, Miami just needs to do what we need to do. And I've really been a proponent of that. Miami has the best talent in our division of the Atlantic Coast Conference. We're up there with Clemson and Florida State on the level of talent on this roster. Could use a little bit more depth of that talent, but when you look at the guys across the board, and I know that people are, because you're watching Miami play in primetime more and more. This is a program that now, for winning reasons, has become back to the forefront. So we were talking about, in years past, how Miami is still relevant even if they're not winning. Now you're winning and relevant, and everybody's hating on the turnover chain. You got the song, and all these people are wearing these things. And, they're doing all these different edits. I think there's like a filter on Snapchat. There's like a panel thing on your phone for Instagram, like a frame and things like that have the turnover chain. So Miami is out there a lot. So people are watching that. So that Miami has the talent advantage. This is going to be a game where Miami is really going to have to not rely on the crowd. And I know that the crowd is going to be there because it's senior day. So we're sending off our seniors, hopefully with a victory, concluding an undefeated season at the Rock this year. and then moving on to Pittsburgh in the regular season finale. But this is really going to test the personal fortitude of these guys where, okay, we got up for a big game against Virginia Tech, blew them out. Got up for a larger game, the biggest game this program has seen in more than a decade against Notre Dame, really blew them out. Now it's senior day. We're going to have some energy there, but we're going to have to really be self-starters and propel ourselves for reasons. Not for, okay, well, you know, we're having game day on campus, which was awesome, and Maria Taylor on the sidelines, and Ed Reed, who was right in front of my section and everything. You got all the 300 former Hurricanes there. You got 600-something recruits. We have all this buzz, and there's going to be people there, but it's not going to be the same. So they're really going to have to say to themselves, we want to play for a national championship or have the chance to. And the only way that we get to this Clemson game, which is going to probably be a college football playoff quarterfinal by default, because the winner of that game is probably going to go to the playoff and the loser of the game is not. To get to the college football playoff quarterfinal, also known as the ACC championship game, and have that consequence, we have to win. So that means we have to push each other now. When that's it. So Jaquan Johnson, who is one of the vocal leaders on this team, one of the best players on this team, he said, look, people can hate us. They can rank us wherever. They can respect us or not. We're going to play pissed off anyway. And I love hearing that from the defense, because if they're playing with that chip on their shoulder and that kind of thing, they're going to be able to do that. Now, I got a little bit of flack last week in a question and answer with our SB Nation Notre Dame site, because they asked me about how Miami's passing game would match up against some of the people in Notre Dame secondary. And did I know their names and what about them? And I said, no, I don't. And I really don't need to, because I'm confident in the fact of if Miami does what we need to do, then they're going to be successful, because we've seen it against Syracuse. We've seen it against Florida State, who, while not necessarily good this year, has talent all over the field. We saw it against Virginia Tech, whose defense is their calling card. And, they have guys with names that you probably know, and we did whatever we wanted there against Notre Dame. Well, now we did that. So I think it's going to be the same kind of thing against Virginia. Miami definitely has the talent advantage. I know that Quinn Blanding is like a 17th-year senior over there at safety. He's a very good player, somebody to watch out for. But he's like the single guy on their team who has like a really, really high level of talent. So I think that Miami is really going to have to be self-starters. They're going to have that personal fortitude to go out there and perform without the extrinsic push of the fans and the recruiting and the whole hoopla around the game. But I'm very confident in the talent. I'm very confident in the scheme. I'm very confident in the coaching staff to be able to get that and make that happen.
Quinn Blanding, 95 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 3 interceptions, one of the very best safeties in college football. Micah Kaiser leads them in tackles. The Cavaliers, 104, 8 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 5 sacks. And Brenton Nelson, their interception leader, with 4 passes defensed.